Close to 80 learners at an Eastern Cape school in Elliotdale have reportedly dropped out of school. The learners from Gwebityala Senior Secondary School have allegedly stopped going to school after the government scholar transport service was cancelled. Joining us to discuss this is Unathi, Binqose, Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson. Good evening, Mr. Binqose. Thank you very much for your time on The Full View. Firstly, can you confirm the reports that at least 80 learners have been left no choice but to drop out of school due to the department cancelling the scholar transport services?
Well, it will be difficult for the Department of Transport to confirm that because the learners attend a school which is under our sister department, which is education. And I positively won't know that, but I've double-checked with the colleagues. They said that is unlikely to be the case. There may be those who may have stopped coming to school, but the number may not necessarily be at 80. But it is really, really understandable why they would be frustrated at the issue of scholar transport. I wish to state that the service is certainly not cancelled. It never was. This school is provided with scholar transport, but there were some contractual issues with the operator there, which made it difficult for the department to process a payment for him. That matter has since been resolved, and scholar transport for that area is set to resume no later than Thursday this week, which is the 1st of August. And we wish to apologize profusely to that community and those learners who were affected by this inconvenience. It truly was something that was out of our control as the department, as we had to work very closely with the operator in order to resolve some of the issues that affected our contract with him.
Mr. Binqose, I suppose in most instances, many would say, in order to ensure a problem doesn't occur again, it's important to know and characterize it properly. So what was the contractual issue in the first place that led to a number of children having to stay home?
Well, the main issue that has been flagged has been around SARS or tax-related papers in relation to the person who has been contracted by the department to ferry the learners. That issue has since been resolved, and thanks to an intervention that has been made by the department, which has brought in representatives from SARS to teach operators about some of the things that they need to adhere to in order for their contracts to be active with any public entity, including the Department of Transport. So we're pleased to announce that services will resume in that area, but we continue with that crusade of teaching operators who are contracted to the department about the need to get their paperwork right with SARS as well.
So reports that there were insufficient funds are incorrect?
Reports that there are insufficient funds are certainly incorrect. Remember, we've just started the financial year a couple of months ago in April, to be exact. So we are still okay in terms of funds for scholar transport, though we tend to run out of funds towards the end of the financial year. Remember, our financial year runs from April to March, but at this stage we are comfortable in terms of the availability of funds. And the fact that we tend to run out of cash towards the end of the financial year is mainly because the demand for scholar transport far exceeds what we have as the department in terms of funds. However, the provincial government, we've got to commend them for coming on board and ensuring that issues relating to scholar transport are not just a Department of Education and Department of Transport issue, but become a provincial issue. So they work together with us to ensure that funds are available towards the tail end of the financial year. They do that by cutting out on unnecessary traveling in all departments, and some of that money gets channeled towards scholar transport to ensure that we are able to provide these all important services, because we've seen its importance in the constant increase in matric pass rate in the province and the pass rate in grades below 12.
Do you know how long, though, the learners had to stay home while this matter was being resolved?
I know that it was a matter of 2 months, and within that 2 months, there were the Easter holidays, which cushioned it a bit. But we are in talks with our sister department, which is education, to try and find maybe a bit more flexible academic calendar for these learners.
Because 2 months is honestly a very long time. They'd have a lot of catching up to do.
Indeed they do, and we understand. We will definitely be in contact with our sister department, which is education, to find means to make up for the time that is lost. But it is worth noting that in between that period, there were some school holidays in between, which also cushioned it and cut it below the exact 2 months that it would have been.
And as for the service providers, has there been a stern conversation with them that beyond this point, there will not be any level of leniency because it affects learners here? I mean, 2 months is really infringing on their rights, Section 29 rights to basic education.
Certainly, and it's more disturbing, more so in areas where scholar transport is provided for and it is paid for, because the reality is that the demand for scholar transport, like I highlighted, far exceeds what we can provide. There are already learners who are in need of scholar transport but are unable to get it. When there are learners who are provided with scholar transport but are unable to get it due to some challenges relating to issues of operators, it becomes a problem for us. So that is why we've embarked on this crusade to ensure that they adhere to all the rules and regulations.
All right, Mr. Binqose, thank you very much for your time this evening. That's Unathi Binqose, Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson. They're saying that all has been resolved. The learners will be back in school.